question. Hold on just one second. Mr. Burns, what do you have on over there?
By public law, I have a right to record this.
Is that a recorder?
It is.
You're not taking photographs?
Yes, I am.
Oh, okay.
I'm not taking photographs. I'm taking video footage.
Okay. So I'm going to give you 3 to 5 minutes.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, the police board, I'm here to speak to you today about reinstatement of my license, my officer license. Unfortunately, many of you don't know me personally, and don't even really know the facts of my case. So if the police board, Mr. Chairman, has given me permission, I'd like to explain to you just a little bit about me and about my history in the auction business. In 1985, I attended Missouri Auction School. Immediately following upon that, in July of 1985, this board issued me Louisiana license number 673. And I began an antique auction business as my specialty and my forte and so forth. The first complaint that I ever had phoned in against me, according to this board's records, was in 1993. Somebody had called in and phoned a complaint. Mr. Buck Benson, who was a board member at that time, resolved that complaint over the phone. For many years, I continued running the antique auction here in Baton Rouge, and I know that you've heard a lot of things about me, and you know, some of them are true. I've had some unfortunate incidents, and I accept full responsibility for my actions. But I'm here to tell you that, forgive me, bear with me just a little bit, please. In the year 2000, I started an internet company. In 1999, actually, I began an internet company called Go Antiques, which at the last time I was here before you, which was 2 months ago, you heard some reference made, some questions made by a former board member, who's no longer a board member. And I want to address those issues if I may. Mr. Chairman, may I have permission to pass these out? This is an email that was received by 3 attorneys in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, from this board, former board member that I'm not going to mention his name. It's specifically, Jim, I'm sorry, I don't have another copy. That's okay. Specifically, there was questions raised at the last board meeting regarding Raymond Heck. I would like to address Mr. Heck first. Mr. Heck did in fact file a complaint against me. It was he, myself, and 4 other gentlemen, Charles Hamley, Charles Moore, Doug Hamley, Alan Richardson, and Joe McCurran. All of those men and myself belonged to an LLC of which I was managing partner. We lost over $300,000 worth of antiques in the seizure of my business. And it is a fact that Mr. Heck did file a complaint against me. It is also a fact in the documents, in the records of this board, that Mr. Heck's claim was thrown out due to not within the jurisdiction of this board by the hearing officer, Mr. Richard Dempsey. So I want to address that. And also, in continuation of addressing of that, I have a letter here from Donald Beckner, attorney at law, former U.S. attorney who happens to be the attorney, and I only have 1 copy, so I'm going to present it to you, Mr. Chairman.
We have an official copy.
We have an official one in file. And Mr. Beckner, who is the attorney for all these gentlemen and represents them in a case against me, states in this letter that he does not intend to seek damages against me, that I've been extremely helpful, and he asks furthermore that the board please consider this favorably when considering reinstatement of my license. And also, this former board member mentioned questions about Nanette Noland here in Baton Rouge. I would like to address those issues right now. Ms. Noland was, in fact, an investor in GoAntiques.com, an internet company that I was president of. She, in fact, did loan the company $100,000, for which I co-signed as president of the company. When Go Antiques was taken away from me and forced into bankruptcy to spin off that debt, I assumed that debt. I did not file bankruptcy. It's against my belief, it's against the way I was raised, and it's against my family. Many people have said I should have and could have. This is a letter, I only have 1 copy I'd like to present to you, Mr. Chairman, from Ms. Janet Henderson Cagley of Henderson Auctions, JH Enterprises, to state that I am, in fact, there withholding money and have been withholding money from every check I earn out there to pay this debt.
Mr. Chairman, can you read that in the records, please?
The record, the what? The letters?
We will attach them definitely. We'll read into this formal record. They're accepted as in formal record. This is not a hearing though. We understand that.
Just so we have it on record.
Yeah, we have them on record.
You've already seen it, right?
No, I haven't, but I know.
Mr. Pastor, he's still.
I'm listening to him, so I can't really read this.
In 2005, in 2003, I was cited for my first and only advertising violation ever against this board. I got a $50 fine for failing to put my license number in an ad. It's the only, in my 20-year career having an auction license, it's the only time I've ever had a fine. In 2005, I moved my auction business downtown in an effort to attract new customers, more customers. And then the worst possible event in the world happened. I had been with First Bank of Eunice for over 9 years, had banked with them. I had over $1 million in loans and lines of credit. First Bank of Eunice was at the time a $41 million bank. Now, many of you gentlemen are familiar with banking. They sold that bank to State Bank and Trust from Mississippi, a $900 million bank. Upon that takeover of First Bank of Eunice, I was called into their office in June of '05, and they said, look, State Bank and Trust doesn't do lines of credits and financing inventory anymore. We're calling you loan. They gave me exactly 4 hours, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm here to tell you that it is legal in the state of Louisiana. They gave me 4 hours to move my loans. I couldn't do it. I couldn't pull it off. So 4 hours later, they padlocked my building. They seized all my inventory, all my business, all my records, everything. And the fact of the matter is that it was a catastrophe. It was of monumental proportions, both to me and to consignors. There were many consignors that couldn't get their merchandise, couldn't get them. And thanks to the hard work of Ms. Anna Dow and Joseph Brantley, my attorney, which she'll tell you he worked with her, many of those consignors were in fact able to get their merchandise. And Jim Steele handled the investigation. He will tell you many of them got their merchandise. Of the many that did, there were still 9 that did not, or 8 that did not actually. And I would like to, I have spoken with those 8 people. I've set up a payment plan to repay them contingent upon reinstatement of my license. I do not run away from my debts. I'm here to honor my debts. The only way I can do this, is by being given the opportunity to work in the industry I know. For 5 years, I've not been able to support my family. I've not been able to pay my debts. I don't take it lightly, and I know you don't. I'm here to ask you to please give this serious consideration. And I would like now, if I may, Mr. Chairman, to pass out this list of the complainants and their complaints to the board members, and I would like to address them how I've dealt with each one individually, sir. First of all, let me start with Ms. Tanya Caldwell. Ms. Caldwell lost approximately $22,000 in this seizure and so forth. I've spoken to Ms. Caldwell's attorneys in Lake Charles, Louisiana. She now lives in Montana. They've agreed to my plan, and we're finalizing the legal documents for my plan now. My plan is to stop by their offices Friday in Lake Charles and meet with them. Mr. Billy Hull. Mr. Billy Hull's claim is for $25,300. He received approximately $9,000 from a bond, according to court records, leaving a balance of approximately $16,300 to date, and I have made every effort possible. I have not been able to locate Billy Hull. I even had Mr. Brantley run locate.com and so forth. We can't even find a phone number for him since '08. I've called the phone numbers in the records the board has and everything. Everything's disconnected, no forwarding, no nothing. Ms. Linda Williams. Ms. Williams' claim of $800 was in fact paid in full by my bond, and that is available through court records, and I think Ms. Dow can verify that. Number 4 was Raymond Heck. It was dismissed by the hearing officer as not within the jurisdiction of this board, and it was addressed in my opening statement. That's the gentleman I provided you a letter from his attorney and so forth. Now, the following 4 people did file complaints against me and were determined, as Ms. Dow can verify, were determined not to have valid claims for lack of evidence by the hearing officer, Mr. Richard Dempsey. However, in an effort to do the right thing, I have contacted each of these people to resolve my issues with them. Mr. James Transu sent a letter into the board, asking to withdraw his complaint, saying that we have agreed to a plan which makes him whole predicated upon me having reinstated my license.
I do have that letter.
Ms. Janice Gold. Now, Ms. Janice Gold agreed to my plan, has sent a letter in, I've spoken to her, and bear in mind she was not a valid claim, but I'm doing the right thing and taking care of it. Now, I will say this, Ms. Gold also, in addition to her letter, sent in a letter kind of ranting about me. It's unreasonable to expect not to have one person pissed off at me, quite frankly, excuse my language.
You got about 2 minutes.
Yes, sir. Ms. Valerie Horton. The board has received a letter from Ms. Horton asking to withdraw her complaint and to reinstate my license. Ms. Judy Rizzo she has sent an email in to the board asking to withdraw her complaint. And Jim Brown, I have spoken to him personally, and Ms. Dow can verify that he did in fact receive his merchandise back from the bank. Ladies and gentlemen, and I ask you please to give this wholehearted consideration. I assure you that I'm here to do the right thing, that I will attend to business properly, and I am asking solely for a license as a contract auctioneer. I will not, under any circumstances, be accepting money, consignments, or anything else. And you'll notice that as part of the board agenda today, my father, Malcolm Bueller, a retired senior business executive, a licensed realtor, and a licensed broker here in the state of Louisiana, has applied for an auction business license, and he will be managing the funds and do the distribution to my consignors. Thank you for your time, Mr. Chairman. Yes, sir.
Who wants to speak next? Mr. Bueller, would you like to speak, or Marvin, which one?
I won't have about 1 minute. I just want to recommend to the board that, Ken works for me as a ring man, not as an auctioneer, but as a ring man. And I'd like to see the board grant his license that he can try to get started paying his own fees. If there are any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
That's all you have to say.
Thank you.
Mr. Bueller?
Thanks, Senator. I realize that none of you know me except Anna. Serves as our attorney, and Bill God's friend does as well. I spent part of my life in Baton Rouge and the rest of it away in major corporations and so forth. I am semi-retired. I do sell real estate. I believe that every man has the right to earn a living. And I know that auction is the best thing that Ken does, and I would love to see those licenses. My son, you would expect me to say that. But I do believe that people have the right to try to earn a living. And I will, the board has my word, and that's better than contract, by the way. But have my word that I will, in fact, I'll run the business, and I will accept the consignments, and we've established a payment plan based on a percentage of gross sales from each of the auctions, so that Ken can pay back the people that lost in that consignment. And I just urge you to give me a chance. Thank you.
Mr. Bueller?
Yes, sir.
No, Mr. Bueller, follow up. I'm sorry.
The real Mr. Bueller.
There is an application, I can probably answer this. The next thing on the agenda, there is an application for a business license for estate auction services. The business is owned by Mr. Malcolm Bueller, who will employ Ken. So Ken, the information exactly, the information I've been provided is that Mr. Malcolm Bueller would be the one supervising all the funds.
Who owns the auction?
Who owns the auction business.
You would own it.
Ken Bueller would simply be a contract auctioneer.
Gotcha, okay, I understand now.
So, Mr. Bueller, you would see, you would have all the money, all the funds,
Yes.
everything would be directed to you.
Correct.
All he would
Your
serve as
business.
would be
He would serve
a,
as the auctioneer.
would be just a contract auctioneer. Anybody have any questions, Mr. Bueller?
Well, I do. On the amount of debts, are there any pending litigations against you?
No, sir.
At this point?
No, sir. Well, except, let me clarify that. There is a lawsuit against myself and Wayne Trish, a former CPA of mine, by Donald Begner on behalf of Raymond Heck, Charles Moore, so forth and so on, but I've qualified that with the letter from Mr. Donald Begner.
Okay. So, right now, what we're looking at, and let me just sympathize with you, because I have a heart for a second chance for anybody. You know, we all have that. We're not, my personal opinion is not so much as a second chance, it's more so as to how we take care of the debt that is outstanding. And, you know, it's almost like maybe asking one favor to pay another, which is sometimes the way it has to go, but we don't know what substantial amount of income that may generate from it to be able to pay the debt. You know, the name may ruin the reputation. I'm not saying that that's what I'm looking for, but you know, at the same time, we have the probabilities of, you know, the things that could possibly happen more so than anything else. I was sitting here on the last time you met. I was kind of, you don't have a real bad background with the board at all as it relates to, you know, violations and things like that, but the ones that are out there are not mine. It's just you. And that's my number one concern, and I know your father being a reputable man, I can hear him say that, and probably proven in his track record that he's been successful as to